Welcome back to part number 4 of What If Anakin Had a Twin. Thank you to those of you who have watched the other 3 parts. If you haven't watched those videos, or are not subscribed, make sure you do those first before watching this video. Dooku's eyes narrowed as he saw the renegade Sith Maul and Anakin's twin. Having heard about the Tatooine native from Sidious and Plagueis, Dooku was aware of the twins' abilities and prepared for another duel. As he did so, there was a mighty blast from the outside as wayward fire from a Republic gunship clattered into the throne room, smashing its windows, and the Jedi crawled out of the newly created open area. Maul and his apprentice circled around Dooku, and the Sith asked them to join him in his quest to defeat both Plagueis and Sidious. Maul refuses the offer and launched a barrage of attacks at Dooku, soon joined by Anakin's twin. Dooku is eager to test out the abilities of the Night Sister magic-infused Anakin, but from behind him, Separatist fire began to rain on Maul, and their battle would have to take place on another occasion, as Dooku flew away in a speeder to a Separatist cruiser. With the Sith gone, Maul and his apprentice were left frustrated and were about to leave until another ship landed in the centre of the Republic forces. The clone troopers pointed their blasters at the lowering ramp, and the B-1 battle droids all lowered their weapons. Darth Sidious walked down with his hood over his head, and Maul felt uneasy. The former Sith leapt over the palace walls with his apprentice, but Sidious was catching him until he was stopped by Jedi Grandmaster Yoda, arriving in a low-altitude assault gunship. The Jedi flew out of the ship and entered straight into a battle with the Dark Lord of the Sith, who was only just able to ignite his lightsabers in time. The two pillars of light and dark engaged in a brutal yet elegant duel before Sidious was collected by his personal guards in his executive shuttle. Although he had not completed a morale-crushing victory over the Jedi, it served as a warning that their 1,000 years of relative comfort was over. Back aboard a Republic military cruiser, Qui-Gon, Anakin and Obi-Wan were healing in the medical bay, but Anakin was angry at the two Jedi Masters for failing to tell him that he had a brother. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did not know either, so they requested for the presence of Shmi of the Jedi Temple. The stationed Jedi Master Shaak Ti is present to answer their transmission, but to their intrigue and horror, Shmi is missing. The Jedi cruiser could not arrive on Coruscant fast enough, and whilst the other members gathered in the council chamber to go through the events on Mandalore, Obi-Wan and Anakin were investigating the disappearance of Shmi. First they searched her quarters, where there was no trace of where she had been other than their possessions, so they asked the Order's crime specialists Quinlan Vos and Tera Sinube to follow the case. The Kifar Jedi Master touches the floor and discovers that Shmi had disappeared a short while ago, just after the Jedi had taken off for Dathomir. Tracing the tracks of the assailant, they curiously stop just outside of the Senate building. The Jedi are about to rush in when a booming voice echoed across the galactic city and all the civilians scampered into their home. The threat, however, was empty as the voice began to fade away. Following it into the shady and lower levels of Coruscant, the Jedi end up in the Works District and were ambushed from above by a small group of Separatist droids. From one side, the hooded Count Dooku told the Jedi that they now knew the truth of Anakin Skywalker and they should join him to defeat the Sith, but they all refused. From another angle, the newly constructed droid cyborg General Grievous stomped into view, then dropped onto the ground below, with his lightsabers brandished. The Jedi had never seen such a towering machine of terror, but Obi-Wan bravely stood in front of them all and attacked the Kaleesh warrior. With the use of his prowess in Soresu, Obi-Wan was soon making Dooku frown as he watched Grievous struggling to defeat the Jedi Master. Soon though, he had other worries, as Quinlan Vos and Anakin Skywalker were attacking him with anger. The Sith apprentice calmly used a force-signing attack to separate himself from the Jedi, before escaping with Grievous and wallowing in their joint failure. The inescapable holograms of Plagueis and Sidious appeared, and they showed their displeasure at another failure by force-choking the Count of Sereno, leaving him on the floor. As Palpatine walked through his suite, the reign of Valorum had gone for long enough, and he took a turbo lift to the highest floor, straight for the Supreme Chancellor. Dismissing the guards outside with a swipe of his hand, Palpatine glided in and lowered his hood. Valorum's head rose from his desk, and he greeted his old friend, but this would be his final act. That is it for part 4 of What If Anakin Had a Twin. If you'd like to see a part 5 soon, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel and on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching and see you next time.